Please consider, I can't talk. I'm losing my voice.
All that vodka you had before the show.
I know. I need more of it. That way it gets my voice back. I hear it comes back around again.
Welcome all you boy girls or girl boys. It's time for another episode of Cozy Quilt Cinema. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Beth, currently living my life in full color while everyone on the block keeps handing me a beige palette and wondering why I won't use it. Every week, Michelle and I curl up on the couch, watch a movie, and we carry it into the studio and pick at it like Vivian Ward walking into a Rodeo Drive boutique armed with a credit card and a point to prove. It's not a critical review, though we probably will be critical. Are we watching a 7-year-old explain chromosomes better than most adults around her? Why is a whole neighborhood committed to being this wrong? Wrap yourself in Babcha's Vicinoki woven throw, climb into the blanket fort, and join us with a movie that's new to both of us. I'm not a strange and bitter old lady. I'm a strange and bitter young lady. Know that one?
No.
Okay. Harriet the Spy.
Oh, no, I did know that one, but I couldn't place it. Michelle Trachtenberg.
Joining us today is Polly Schattel, who is a writer, a filmmaker, who has written and directed 3 award-winning, internationally distributed feature films. Her book, Shadow Days, was chosen by Kirkus Reviews as one of the 100 best indie books of 2022. And her new book, Crater Girl, came out on June 25th, which we are completely thrilled about. Polly chose this film for us. Welcome, Polly. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, you guys. It's really good to see you again.
It's great seeing you. So you're excited about the book coming out?
Yeah, the book is out. It was a little hard getting there. We had some delays, but it's finally out. And it's after I've been a published writer for about a decade, and everybody keeps asking me, are your books about trans people? Is it a trans book? And until now, I had to say no. This is my first trans book, and it's front and fucking center, man.
Nice.
And so I'm real excited about it. And I'm a little nervous too, because as you know, the trans community can be pretty hard to please. And so I'm hoping that my trans peeps, it's really about my trans peeps, and I'm hoping everybody enjoys it. So it's kind of a love letter to my trans peeps. So,
well, I'm excited about it. I'm very glad that you've gone this route, because I think it's important to have that representation. And not every trans person has to write about trans things. That's not all of who we are.
That's right.
So it makes sense that your first books weren't about trans people. It was just about people and some horror and some mysticism. But I think that now the way that the world is, without representation, you may not have a voice later. And writing is all about having a voice.
It is. And what's hilarious about this book is, you write it, I started it 2 years ago. So it's like, for me, it's 2 years ago. But the things the book wrestles with, which is like deportation, which is like anti-immigration sentiment, which is like anti-trans sentiment, has only increased in the last couple of years. This was like a pre-Trump 2.0 book, really.
Right.
And so now that a few years have gone by, the book, it's like everything is coming true that I wrote about. Which is bizarre.
It's prescient.
But our fears were unfounded.
Or actually quite well-founded. And, looking back, because a lot of people were calling us paranoid and saying that we weren't right about our predictions of the future.
Yeah, don't worry.
And even me, myself, I was wrong about how severe things have gotten in the last couple of years. I didn't anticipate it getting quite this bad. So we've gone downhill in a couple of years.
I didn't expect it to go so fast. I knew it was happening. I just was hoping that it was going to go at a slower pace, that we could stop some of it.
Well, I'll tell you, pattern recognition is not a fun thing to have when the pattern is throwing itself into the most extreme of fascisms. So while I was yelling all of this about 2 or 3 years ago, people were telling me I was overreacting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not actually reacting at all. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, the extrapolation of the things that are happening versus the things that could or probably will. The probability is good that it will happen. There's no satisfaction in being right in this kind of thing. I would rather be right about who wins the Super Bowl, mainly because I can make more money doing it.
That's the truth.
And also, we wouldn't have people in cages or people in concentration camps or people worried about where to find medication. You know, these are real world ramifications for things that are happening now, and being right about all the bad things really fucking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll inevitably laugh today and make jokes, but ultimately it's a grim time for our population, and and for a lot of different populations. It's not just trans people.
No.
Now they're coming after people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm,
Absolutely.
I know.
And immigrants and also people who were in the military, like vets. They're coming after veterans benefits.
Well, they want to institutionalize homeless people, mainly homeless veterans. That's one of their goals.
And they don't think that children with disabilities should be allowed to stay at their homes, or even have public education. And that goes against everything since the 60s that we've been fighting for when it comes to the disabled. And it's such bullshit. I heard the other day, and this is now stuck in my head, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as shit paraphrases.
That's actually
I've heard the phrase, it rhymes. History doesn't rhyme.
I heard that one too.
But I mean, this podcast is about emotional movies and talking about our emotions, but I'll sure as shit give platforms to anyone who wants to speak out about the things that are going on that are wrong, that should be corrected, that should be fixed. So if you feel you have anything you want to say, that is always fine with me. You break in, you make yourself known, because our platform is your platform.
Oh, you're sweet. Sweet. Well, I just have to say, the good news is the people we're up against are literal idiots.
Oh, that's the only saving grace.
So I don't think they're going to win. I really don't. It's going to be a fight, but I think the silent majority, of which all three of us are part of, and most Americans literally are, I think we're going to do okay in the long run. I really do.
I think the hardest part, is just that, it takes years and years and years for us to gain an inch, but it takes a half a minute for us to lose 100 years.
That's right.
We take these huge frog leaps backwards, but it's going to take us so long just to get back where we were. It's almost like classroom management, and it's the first thing they teach you is start out your year up here in the front with your expectations, and then back off a little bit, because it's easier to come right back to it. But if you start back here, it's a bitch to move forward. And that's kind of how we are. We keep losing, and now we've got to fight to get back to where we were. And where we were wasn't that great. It's just so frustrating.
But at least then we felt like we may be progressing.
Yeah.
Now we just feel like everything's regressing. And, unfortunately, to your point where you say that, we are fighting a bunch of idiots, and we are. The bad thing is those idiots are the richest people on the planet.
Yeah.
And not because they're good at what they're doing. They're literally failing upwards. Mm-hmm. And that privileged ignorance that makes them idiots, they're privileged because they already had the money, and now they just have more of it. And people keep willing to give them more of it.
You're right. You're right. It's really sad. It's so sad, and I liken it to I mean to Michelle's point that it's almost like a sandcastle. It can take an afternoon to build a big sandcastle, but it takes a second to kick it down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's so easy to destroy
Oh, it's
and
so
so
easy.
hard to create, to build,
Yeah.
and so we're seeing that.
And we recently had our friend Pat Green on, and we've talked about this stuff as well. And it is so frustrating being, growing up as a Gen Xer, and just I know for a fact I was out there like distributing condoms and trying to make a difference. I was that rock the vote generation, and now I see these kids when I was working in the high school they don't care. They either follow what their parents want or they don't care. And it's like, well, God, if we followed what our parents wanted, we wouldn't even gotten to the point where you could be so blasé about shit. But you should never be blasé. You should always want more, and you should always want better. And you should always fight for better and for everybody. And I just don't understand that myopic, self-entitled mentality where, well, it doesn't bother me. It's not my life, but it should bother you. It should bother you for every little thing that other people are being oppressed about.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I've got nothing to add. I mean, I'm Gen X too, so I was of the Reagan generation, and just like back then, I take solace in the fact that even though the mass culture seems like it's horrible, there's a you can call it an underground or a backlash or whatever name you want to put to it, but there's a very vibrant underground of which we're part of that is like a resistance to all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was there in the Reagan era too.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people who hated Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I voted for Dukakis. My first presidential election, I voted for Dukakis. So there was a pretty hefty resistance to them back then too. And we're doing it all over again now.
I know. Trickle down economics. Yes, it never worked. It made no sense.
It worked great for the oligarchs.
So let us discuss this lovely movie that you presented us with, because honestly, it was not one I would have even thought of or known about. So thank you for that.
So it is Ma Vie en Rose.
Ma Vie en Rose, yes. It's French, of course.
Yes, we will butcher lots of French names today.
I'm okay with it. I'm good with the butchering.
Sorry.
Why don't you give us a synopsis, or I can if you don't want to? Uh-oh. Okay, so the quick summary of the movie is it's a French-Belgian family, the Fabers, or Fabers, not sure.
Faber.
Okay, I was right the second time. Has just moved into a cheerful suburban neighborhood where everyone is perfectly normal and expects you to be as well. Their youngest child, 7-year-old Ludovic, shows up to the welcome party in a pink dress and full makeup, absolutely certain she is a girl. The neighbors are horrified. The parents try to manage it. Ludovic remains completely, serenely sure of herself. What follows is a story of a child who never wavers, told through the lens of a community that cannot stop wavering, and a film that's simultaneously a fairy tale, a dark comedy, and one of the most quietly devastating portraits of belonging ever put on French cinema. That is what I got from several different people's synopsis and kind of meshed it together because I've never seen this film. It is French. And it is an English subtitle, or at least the version we got. Thankfully, it was not in a subtitle we could not read. So I was very happy with that. Actually, I found that I enjoyed the subtitles. For some reason, it made me feel more about the movie. Like, I guess I paid attention to it much more.
I mean, I don't know. I have been recently obsessed with Chinese short dramas. So all I do is read the subtext. Not
I love
subtext,
subtitles.
but
Sometimes
subtitles.
I'll watch a show in English with subtitles.
It makes me focus.
I mean, I mean, you can read the script
Mm-hmm.
as it goes along, you know. So it's a useful tactic to go.
Because sometimes people mumble and I can't understand what they're saying. And I
That's
want to
right.
know what they're saying.
So do you know
That's
who the director is of this film?
Yes, I do. He hasn't done a whole lot. He's a Belgian, and I'm gonna massacre his name, but it's Alain Berliner, I think.
Um,
It's spelled like
Berliner.
yeah, okay.
I wrote down all the phonetics of the
There it is. There it is. I even fucking had French back in college.
I
What am I
did
doing?
not.
But no, he's you know what? I have to say, I saw the movie when it came out back in '97
Okay.
because I was privately dealing with trans issues back then. So I made my wife back then watch it, and I liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie, but fast forward now 30 years later, watch it again, and I am shocked at how prescient it was with so many issues that we're still dealing with today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I found it to be, you know, because I mean, if you look back at like mid '80s gay cinema or something, it's quaint because it's like, yeah, that's how they were back then. We have a different vibe now. Well, that was very contemporary. I thought the
Yes.
film was very forward thinking for a film in the '90s.
I
You
think,
know,
especially, it wasn't even like just in this coming from a completely cis side, perspective. I did not see that it was just a trans issue. It was also a gay issue because even regarding, or disregarding the fact that Ludo is a girl, it's also that Ludo, when presenting as a boy, wants to marry the other little boy, and that he likes, or they like other little boys, and that is kind of important as well, because that's something that the parents all seem to jump onto at first. The dress is one thing, but it was the I'm going to marry him when we get older, and that seemed to be, though the grandmother was, I think, the coolest person out of all of them.
Yeah.
I did like Elizabeth. She was pretty cool.
Yeah, but let's be very clear here. There was no one in the film for Ludo that was actually supporting Ludo. They were all supporting some aspect of Ludo, but never the girl that's before them. It was always on a conditional basis.
Don't worry, they'll get tired of wearing dresses. Just that wasn't the answer. And I get that they were not, at first I gave them the benefit of not understanding and not knowing how to deal with what is being presented to them, because nobody gives you any type of parental playbook. And when stuff like this happens, I did it myself with our son. He was 17 at the time, but I was still kind of like, I don't understand what you're telling me, because it was out of left field. And I didn't understand that. And we've said this before, that, this was the process he was going through well before he told us, and knew about it before he mentioned it to us. So for us, or for me specifically, I felt like, the hell did this come at? Where did it come from? With Ludo, they said that Ludo was dressing up since, they were very little, that this was, oh, well, now you're 7. They're still a baby. Let him be a 7-year-old. Let any child be the child that they are. And if it means dressing up. So I substituted this past week at one of our centers, because my school that I work at right now, I'm working in preschool now, because I know I wasn't the last time we spoke. And my school is a year-round school, and right now we're on a 4-week summer break. And we go back early, but we'll have an intersession in 9 weeks and be off for 3 weeks. So I need to make money during that time. So I was subbing at one of our centers that had a summer program. And there's a little boy there, and an amazing name. I will not say their name, but amazing. Little man could braid hair. He had a mop he would play with every day out in the playground, braid hair, do updos. When we would have centers, little man would go over to the housekeeping area, and there was a pink dress with puffiness, put that on immediately. I'd have to zip it up for him. And the reason why I am giving him the him pronouns is because he does identify as boy. And one of the aides was like, hey, I thought you said you were a boy. And he's like, I am who I am. And they're like, and he even said, I like your nail polish. I just put dots on my nails. I like your nails. I mean, he's fabulous. We had music on and the boy was twerking. He's 4 and he's carrying around baby dolls and then he's running over with the truck. So, I mean, let them just be what they are and it shouldn't matter. And that's something that bothered me incessantly with this was just, and I get the parents at first, the neighbors being upset about them holding the wedding, the quote unquote wedding in the dead sister's bedroom. But that's what it should have been about and not about the wedding. And I feel like they just went mad at him for things, or no, not him, but for them. They went mad at Ludo for things that Ludo could not emotionally understand as a 7-year-old.
That's right.
And that's the part that bothers me. And it's something that is missing in a lot of movies. We've noticed that when there are young children, it's like whoever wrote this does not understand what young children actually think and how they process. And abstract concepts are literally that. So yeah, that's my rant about children.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, I felt like, I mean, the parents ultimately, I mean, is it okay to give the end of the movie?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
It's old enough that we don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a 30-year-old movie.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But they, at the end they come around, but really,
It was like
it's
somebody
hard-
was flicking a switch.
So what? I'm sorry.
I was like somebody was flicking a switch.
Yeah. Well, it's like, in a film or a book, you have what's called the protagonist, right? And whoever the protagonist is usually is the person who changes.
Mm-hmm.
You have a journey from beginning to end, and somehow through that journey, the character changes. And I thought it was interesting that the ones who change are the parents, not the little boy. The little boy or little girl, however you want to call it, never changes.
Ludo is very
solid in their opinions.
Ludo
So I
is
thought that was an interesting twist is the parents have to learn how to deal with their unique child.
Mhm.
And I thought it was pretty realistic. Like the mom starts smoking and stuff like that.
I hate, like I said, it was like a switch being flipped, but I really hated how the mother, how dare you turn and say to your child, your, again, 7-year-old child, that yes, this is all your fault. Dad lost his job because of you. We have to move because of you. And later on when they move and, he's like, I want to go out because the house is too loud. It's because of you that we are here. Fuck you. Lady, fuck you. He is 7 years old. You don't do that to a child. And I am misgendering Ludo because unfortunately in my head I keep picturing the clothing. And it's hard when presenting one and not being, but trying to get that's why I keep trying to force myself to say they. I love, you were right though in your summary about describing the science of it all, even though there's more to it, but understanding the X, Y, and thinking that the reason why that Ludo is presenting as a boy is because the other X didn't make it down the chimney and a Y did.
The trash can.
Yeah, that is so adorable.
Really sweet.
He still
I
has
thought they
more
did Barbie
understanding
better
than most.
Barbie. It's like the movie Barbie.
Oh, that, I literally had that in my notes. It is like the Pam and Ben equals Barbie movie without the feminist view. The feminist plot, because it doesn't really have a feminist plot, but because it's not about that, but there's a lot of Barbie movie in here for 1997.
Well, let's talk about the other world, the Barbie world, or the
Pam.
The Pam world is so much. To me, it's like someone did an inverse color of Tim Burton. Did anybody else get that, or was it just me? It's like they just did the exact opposite of what Tim Burton would have done, and that's what you end up with is all these bright colors and this very odd, like miniaturized kind of standout positioning. I forget what they call it when they tilt the angle of the camera or whatever.
Perspective.
It is a perspective thing, but
it's tilted like this.
Yeah. It's like there's just a little bit off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Dutch angle. That's what that's
yeah,
called.
yeah. So it's got kind of this tilt, so it gives you the sense that this is a different place, a different world. Right. Not just based on the colors, but the angle of the lens. And I don't usually notice those things. I'm usually pretty I'm focused on the things happening in the film. People are like, the camera work is great. I'm like, yeah, I saw the stuff that the camera was pointed at because I thought that was pretty good. I don't really notice the angles, but this I did. But their whole thing of, that separation, there's this fantasy life of how you could be versus how things are. It's what trans people go through. Trans people go through this idea of, well, what would it have been like if I were just a cis girl instead of a trans girl? Everybody goes through that because the society, everything we are steeped in, our entire life is an indoctrination into a gender binary. To be outside of that gender binary is to be outside of the society, to be on the fringes. And no one wants to be on the fringes until you do want to be on the fringes and you make that decision. But, in this film, the gender binary is very strict, no matter which side of the view you're on. It's still boy or girl. It cannot just be existing. We as humans, we just exist. We do not have... This binary is something we invented just to make ourselves feel better so that one side could try to dominate the other side. Because if you don't have sides, how do you dominate that other side? You need that. So for me, I don't know and I also don't understand the French aspect, the French ideals or how they view things. So it's hard for me to really nail down where they were going a lot of times in the film for their society, which is slightly different than the American in many ways. I saw baguettes. That's what I did see.
I liked when they were celebrating Dad getting the new job and they're all drinking the champagne. And first Ludo was like, no, because the brother was drinking the champagne. And that's another thing is I had to go, oh my God, they gave those babies alcohol. Oh yeah, no, they're allowed to drink alcohol over there. It's a not every time, not an all the time thing, but a once in a while thing. It's okay. And when he gets the glass and he downs it and it's like, you go, you do. It's like, I can't deal with you bitches right now unless I am inebriated. I get that. I wished he had stayed with his grandmother, though. I kind of wished that Ludo decided... Mom at that point was still pissing me off. So when they let Ludo decide who they wanted to live with, I was really hoping Ludo was going to stay with the grandmother. She was very, very upset that they were moving. And so I think that would have been like the best thing for little man, little person there.
Yeah, but they miss their mommy, as you know, little kids at that age, they miss their mommy. They want their mom.
Well, and let's not forget that the second part of this, the reason, the great thing about him going with his mother, with the family, is the actual, what I think the good ending of the film is, he meets another trans person. Mm-hmm. Chris. Or at least, at the very least, or who I can assume is a trans person, a trans man maybe, or non-binary, in Chris or
Christine,
however they're going to identify.
I love that kid.
But the fact
that was cool.
Yeah, the fact that he got to meet someone else who was not, at the very least, not part of the conformance of this binary, or even maybe just he met someone who was slightly non-conforming, such, as a lesbian who doesn't conform to gender roles. That is a good thing because it confirms it gives a sense of community. And he got to engage that finally, if a little roughly, because someone says, hey, come over here and beat this kid up so we can take the dress and put it on him and I'll take the other clothes.
I think,
a little weird.
when Chris first meets Ludo and Ludo's like, I don't want to play. And Chris is like, no, come play with me. And Ludo's like, no, I don't want to. Leave me alone. And they're like getting really aggressive about it. But then Mom calls Christine and you could see the, oh shit on Chris's face. Like, oh, that's when I'm like, oh, this kid knows. And the fact that neighborhood, regardless, like when Mom went after Ludo for the dress, regardless of it not being Ludo's fault, all those mothers were like, bitch, back off. They were there. And in that other neighborhood, they would have just watched it happen.
Yeah, this is true. Like if you notice in the first half of the movie, in the very conformist neighborhood, like you guys say, the women are almost hyper feminine. There's like poodle skirts and lipstick and nails and the whole thing. And so it's very binary in turn, and the men are out there chopping the hedges and mowing the grass and doing their duty.
And the women are at home and the men go to work, and yeah.
That's right. And so yeah, he left that binary society behind and was able to find a new, more accepting place for him to be. So I think it was a really sweethearted little movie,
And
it's been unjustly forgotten over the last 30 years.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, and we don't know. Ludo might not be transgender, just a 7-year-old child, because again, what do they know about boy and girl? Ludo thought they got their period because they woke up with a tummy ache, because that's when Ludo's sister got her period and Mom was telling her, oh, now you're a woman and da-da-da, which I think is bullshit too, but you're not a woman. I got my period at 12. That did not make me a woman. It doesn't make you a woman. I'm sorry. It's a disgusting fact of humanity is what it is. But it's still like how the innocence of this young child and not knowing or understanding the way society has puts all these little boxes and labels and what you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to be. Ludo could go through 13,000 iterations of themselves before they are an adult, and that's okay as well.
That's right.
And
yeah, except for the fact that he actually has, or she actually has been stalwart throughout the movie.
Oh yeah, no,
throughout
I'm not
all this
saying
time.
That. But because that's what they're feeling, that's what they're thinking at this moment, and it's like, I don't think any of you are correct in knowing who I am. I know who I am, but don't worry, I'll just sugarcoat it for a hot minute just so you'll back the fuck off me, because you could just see it in this poor kid's face when Ludo's in therapy. And listening to what they're saying behind him, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, he's not, and that's the thing, is he's not actually in therapy.
No.
The psychologist was strictly hired to change Ludo into him.
Yeah.
Into a thing that they want, not who they might be.
And that's when, at the end, I love that the therapist was like, there's nothing wrong with your kid. There's nothing wrong. And there's no need for you to come here every week, multiple times a week. There is nothing wrong with this child.
They're not broken.
No.
Well, and you notice that she made the conscious choice of not playing with the dolls and playing with the trucks, because Ludo knew that's what they expected and what they wanted out of their child, and what the psychologist would want as well. It's called, it's gaming the system. Trans people are always put into this thing of it's a mental issue. And yes, it's a mental issue in much the same way as everyone else who has a gender identifies just like trans people do. We have the same exact mechanisms. We have the same mentality that causes that. Ours just doesn't conform to someone who spanked us on the ass and said, your genitals say you're a boy, which is the dumbest possible reason anyone could have for naming someone a gender.
Or telling a girl she's a woman because she has her period. That does not make sense.
It's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
You know, and we do that. We do that constantly. We have play dates with babies, and they'll be like, "Oh, look at them! They're boyfriend and girlfriend."
Well, they do it in the movie.
Yeah.
During the school scenes, you see where he gets in trouble and he's told she's told act more like a boy. You see where they're looking up the stairwell and there's a boy and a girl kissing, children kissing, and everyone's happy.
Oh, that's a man up there.
Reinforcing the aspect of the gender roles and the gender binary must be strictly enforced at all times to maintain a happy, cohesive community. And without that, all of London will fall. Everyone will die. You know, the place will burn down. Well, have you noticed that the world that we're in now is burning down, and it's not because trans people or gay people are doing it?
I keep going back to my students, but I had a little boy last year who came in and country as the day is long and told us about his boyfriend, and he loves him very much and he's going to marry him. And then, and I was just like, go baby, you do you, baby. I never will ever tell them they can't love somebody, but I will put a kibosh on the boy and girl in my class who wanted to walk around and holding hands. Because you are only 5 years old, we're not going to do that. Because I want you to, not so much that I'm trying to like push them into being gay. No, I just don't want them to focus on that. I had, again, subbing in another school, a couple, I actually thought they were cute at first, walking around holding hands. And then they disappeared for a hot minute. And we went and they went around behind a tree, and the little boy's got her shirt up and he's got his head on her belly. I'm sorry. You learned that from somewhere, and we can't start doing that shit at 5. So that's why I'm like, you can't date in my classroom until you're 16. So I'm not going to have them that long, but I don't need to know that. They're 5. So, I play and have fun and play houses and play, mommy and daddy, however you want. But there's a limit to what I will allow, because again, the important part here is not about conforming to these gender norms of heterosexuality. It's about just being children. And that is something I feel like Ludo was not afforded to by the people who should have been there. Like I said, first mom was not so much supportive, but she was warm about it. I would say warm about the whole thing. Dad was cold about it. And then mom just froze him out. And that was just like, what the hell is wrong with you? That is your baby. I don't understand that. I don't understand parents who turn their backs on their children anyway.
Well, I think it was interesting when the dad was saying, I've got other kids and you raise them the same, but they come out different,
And that's the truth, though.
It is the truth. And I thought it was really a wise way to say that, is like, the kids are going to be who they're going to be. Like, you can raise them exactly the same, and you're going to have 4, varieties of adult at the end of it all.
Look at our kids.
There's no one way to be. And I thought the movie, I agree with you that the character's behavior was challenging, but I also thought that the movie came down on the side of Ludovic, and was very conscious about coming down on his side. And
definitely.
Sure that his perspective won the day at the end of the day. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's the wildly vacillating sides of the father and the mother who couldn't seem to make up their mind whether they hated their child, loved their child, or just dismissed their child at any given point. Mm-hmm. And it didn't seem to have and this sounds more like it's a criticism of the writing, but there's a swing. There's these shifts that just don't seem to match up with what's happening. They give a small smile to their child. That child smiles back. And then suddenly they're slapping them. It's like, where did that come from? All of a sudden, I think I'm looking for patterns that aren't existing, unfortunately. And so I'm like, I don't know whose side anyone is on. They all seem to be for themselves alone and only dealing with their own individual issues and never projecting empathy towards each other. The children are mainly just the things they put upon a shelf.
Accessories.
Until they have to deal with them. And then Ludo is the one who gets all the attention because Ludo's the one who is the squeaky wheel. And only squeaky because no one's paying attention to them as who they are rather than just one of the boys. No one wants to be seen as just yet another thing that isn't part of who they are. And that's something that a lot of, cis people, especially cis women, take some glee in sometimes when they're in the TERF kind of realm, is pointing out, you'll never be one of us, or you'll never be this thing. And so you will always be dismissed. And it's like, well, that's great for you, I guess. But projecting empathy should be part of everybody's lexicon. It should be part of everybody's ability. And if you cannot do that for a single trans woman in your life ever, that is never going to happen for you, then you have no empathy for anyone else, because how you treat someone you deem the least of you is exactly how you treat everyone else around you.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
And yes, I get that cis women need power. They do. We all need power above white cishet men, because the only way to get equity is to force someone off the pedestal they've built for themselves. And then once we're all on the same level, we can deal with each other. But right now, we don't have that. And cis women, unfortunately, have glommed on, in a lot of aspects, have glommed on to the patriarchy as their ladder. And it's not a ladder, it's a roof, and it's holding you down. And I keep pointing that out to people, wanting people to understand when I say the patriarchy, it's not indicative of just white cishet men. It's indicative of a society that's been built for them by everyone. It's all, everyone's backs, everyone's blood, everyone's tears has built this society for one group of people.
Willingly,
and if we don't disassemble it, yeah.
Well, I mean, in that sense, I mean, that's a whole separate podcast, of course. But in that sense, it's not patriarchy, it's supremacy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's white supremacy is what we're really talking about, ultimately.
Oh, that's the foundation for all of it, yeah.
But it's funny, like, while I would never want to be a man, I don't know why anyone would want to be a woman. As one, I find it very bothersome on a good day. So for me, I'm confused by anybody wanting to be a woman. Not because of being a TERF, but because I just, ew.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it's about what they think that Ludo wants.
It is. And
so they're like, why are you doing this? As if Ludo has a choice in who they are. Like, it's not about wanting to be a girl. It's just existing as a girl and no one paying attention to that. Everyone ignoring that the girl is there.
And I want to nod to the little person, little guy who did this role, Georges Dufresne. Good job, I know. Snaps right there. That kiddo. Really great.
And he hasn't really done any acting after this.
He hasn't. I looked him up and I saw some photos of him as a young adult. He kind of disappeared. He's like the kid in The Shining. He walked away from movies and was never seen again.
Well, he's a makeup artist.
A couple roles.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
He does makeup now. That's what he does.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know that the photos I saw of him, he's a very beautiful young man.
You could see in the 7-year-old's bone structure and face that face was going to grow up to be amazing.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, as a filmmaker, can you imagine what casting that movie was like? It's like, okay, we need a really feminine little boy and we're going to put makeup on him and he's going to wear dresses and high heels for the whole movie. And hopefully this is not going to mess with his head because he might not be trans at all, you know? And so I think they did a fantastic job. And whoever that little boy's parents were, hats off to them.
Oh,
because
yeah.
they also were very courageous in letting their boy do something this quasi-exploitative for the sake of the movie. You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
When they quote unquote conceded and let him wear a dress, it was a kilt. And I think that once again, what bugged the piss out of me there was that instead of the grown ass adults going, "Oh well, it's a kilt," no, they were like, "Get the pitchforks!" You know?
Well, no, they had a full-blown discussion with the children right there in their faces about, oh, we're just letting this fade out. Because obviously, if you just let a trans person be themselves, you know, us at, 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 years old, people die who they are. We're going to change at some point.
And it's not...
At 55, at some point, I'm going to change. I'll be a man one day. Just wait another 150, 60 years. I'm sure it'll happen. Just keep holding your breath.
And it's not about the damn skirt. And I think that's the part that really... Yes, Ludo wanted to wear a skirt to the little girl's birthday party, but it wasn't even about the skirt. That was just the symbol of what they...
Well, yeah. Notice that Ludo was very happy during the party because people stopped focusing on the thing and allowed Ludo just to be Ludo without Ludo the boy having to be there. The boy is the mask, and no one wants to wear the mask all the damn time. They've written books about it. No one wants to be forced into a mask. Why would you force someone else, someone you love, or someone in your community to have to wear a mask? Ludo gets to be the person that they are. Now, whether that's a trans girl or non-binary girl, or non-binary, it's a non-binary girl, whether it's non-binary, whether it's gendered or not, I think it's about just being seen for a little bit without the mask being present.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, it's really, I mean, you can even take gender out of it and just talk about freedom. I mean, maybe it's a little kid who wanted to have a black friend and everybody's like, no, you can't have a colored friend, and so it's really about letting people be who they are. And they, and trans was just the, like the gimmick they used to show that, you know. But let me make another point. Beth, to address your point about the parents, how you were, how you said it was hard to tell where they came down on issues because they changed so much. And I actually like that about the movie because in American cinema, we have the good guy and we have the bad guy, and everybody, the bad guy, they're bad because they're mean all the time. And I love the way this movie kind of painted what I think of as a nuanced portrait of even the dad. I mean, the dad was alternately loving and very angry at the kid. And that's kind of how I think real people are, they're confused. They contradict themselves. They, sometimes they get it wrong and they change their mind and they come back and they're different. And so I like the fact that it was really showcasing their confusion and their own inner turmoil over it, rather than just the dad is bad and the mom is good, and so I like that nuance.
I think you're right. I
think it's because it was so there is that changing ebb and flow. You can change your mind, but it just seems so abrupt for me. If it hadn't been so abrupt change, then maybe it would have been a bit more believable. But because
what may have sparked the change, other than just within a moment, that change just flips on a dime.
Yeah.
But I get what you, but they do have a
grudge to your child.
It is only a 98 runtime. So with only 98 minutes, I don't think you have time to really delve into the depths of why the change happened. So I see the point.
3-hour movie, you know.
Yeah,
Right. This
I guess-
isn't Bruce Springsteen. You're going to have to tone it down a bit. We're going to have to.
Mom having a full-blown hallucination in the middle of a billboard could actually, I guess that makes sense of why she all of a sudden changed her mind.
I was poking
Well,
Polly
I know.
because of the Bruce Springsteen.
She saw how she was faced with literally losing her child.
Mm-hmm.
That was what kind of woke her up and put
Yeah.
the fear God in her, you know.
Well, let's talk about the freezer.
Oh God, how you
So-
didn't die?
So, okay, so that is the thing. And I know that we're going to get into some ideation here, but for me, the very first thing I thought of when I saw the frozen food on the floor, the very first thing I thought of was he's in a freezer and he's trying to kill himself. Or she, or I don't. Again,
I kept saying they.
It is hard to say who Ludo is because while Ludo says they're a girl, I knew I was a girl when I was 5. Explaining it to someone was much harder. So the fact that someone says they're a girl, I need them to. I don't know. I think I need more evidence from them, like them to say the words other than just I'm a girl. I don't know why I need that. I don't know if it's something I have to deal with for my own transphobia because we all have it. I want Ludo to be a girl. Maybe that's what it is. I want it so badly that I'm afraid that me just saying it outright is me kind of making this indoctrinative kind of choice for someone. I want Ludo to have the full range of you get to be whoever you want to be. So who is that for you other than just, boy and girl, because it's so harsh in this film of gender binary. And I definitely don't want to disrespect the idea that the binary isn't real, or disrespect the fact that non-binary exists, so binary isn't real. You have to look at the full picture. And I'm always afraid of making that mistake and not accepting that non-binary is perfectly viable for anyone to be. So I think I just have a tough time explaining that. But let's talk about the freezer part, because I think that Ludo was, for me, I felt that was trying to die. I have certainly felt that way. At my worst, when my father beat me and I could not get the words out, I tried to will myself to die. I tried to hold my breath, and believe me, you can do it until you pass out.
Then you breathe again.
And then you're betrayed by your body into breathing again. How do you guys feel about that? How do both of you feel about?
I didn't think of him trying to kill himself because honestly, that wasn't where my brain went. My brain went with that's where Ludo was hiding from the kids who beat the crap out of him. And unfortunately, being an unsafe place to hide was the reality, because I went, oh my God, how did he not suffocate? But I wasn't thinking of suicide. I was just thinking of that was the safe spot that they thought of. Actually didn't even think that they were in the freezer. I thought they were in the car somewhere. And then I realized what was happening.
I think, I agree with Beth. I think it was, it's left vague. I mean, is a suicide attempt at 7 really a suicide attempt? I mean, you just kind of stab at it. You just kind of go through the motions of it without really knowing how to do it. But I do think he was trying to negate himself,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
to enter a new world by negating himself. That's what I took away.
I mean,
And luckily they found him, because another hour in there and he would have frozen to death,
yeah, or suffocated, either or. And all I could think of is this poor baby watched, their brothers ignore the fact that these kids were ganging up on him, and that's the horrifying part, there's that whole part. Yeah.
I thought they handled that okay. Remember, his little brother in the locker room tried to defend him, and they made his little brother sit down. And then later, when Ludo went missing, the older brother confronted the little brother on the stairs about, basically, it was nonverbal, but you saw this little moment of them going, "What the fuck, man? Like, why didn't you protect Ludo?" And I thought it was pretty. I have to say I was satisfied with that moment, because I saw the brothers, and even the sister was at times cruel to Ludo, but then ultimately loved Ludo.
Well, yeah, teenagers are not going to be nice to their siblings, their younger siblings. It's just impossible. Not 100% of the time.
Right.
But no, it's there was a lot of emotional roller coaster when it came to following this poor baby, just trying to figure out who they are. Again, and I think, about the same before, it makes sense. It was just a better way to explain what I was trying to explain about how, I said Ludo might go through like 1,000 different, iterations. But you're right. Right now, they only know that black and white. And as a 7-year-old, that's all they know. And they don't know that there's so much more to the spectrum. And that's what I meant when I said that they might go through different iterations.
Well, I think we confirm to ourselves throughout our lives. We confirm to ourselves our identities. Everybody does. Cis people do it. Trans people do it. It is part of gaining knowledge. When you gain more knowledge about something, you reconfirm. And just because you reconfirm who you are over and over again doesn't mean you're set in your ways. It means you know exactly who you are, and there's not a doubt. There's not a change for you. Some people come out later in life as non-binary, despite the fact that they've always seen themselves as a girl or a boy. It's because they learn it exists. It exists, therefore, maybe I am. And then they delve into it. The one thing that I love about trans people, and I can say this as just even someone who tried to hide who they were before, something I always loved, something I always respected, was the fact that trans people are some of the most introspective people in the world.
Yeah.
Because they have to be, because you cannot be a trans person and not delve into the tiniest minutia of who you are and how it relates to society.
This is true.
And I've always been that person who has delved so deeply into it, they literally miss a lot of the other things around them. So I always respected the fact that other people out there existed like that. And it made me, much like Chris existing in this movie, it made me feel part of something.
That's wonderful. I mean, you have to remember when this movie came out too, like back then, the term was transsexual, and it was very different. Like people like us, who were having these feelings in our heart, but didn't understand it. I certainly didn't understand it when I was that young, but, the language wasn't there. The terminology wasn't there. The societal support wasn't there. And so, like back then, I was watching documentaries on transsexuals, and they were talking about, they were like late night dancers in a topless bar now and stuff. And that was our trans representation.
Right.
That Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
I was going to say what are they? Oh God, I can't think of it. Thailand, the boys that are the girls.
Oh yeah, the concubines.
Yeah, I think it's
femboys or whatever they're calling them. I don't know
what they're called. I forget what they're called, but
like crying game situation type.
Yeah,
of
that's
thing.
what that was our representation, and and that's what we saw. I'm
sorry, but crying game. Don't want to get into that film too much, but she was beautiful. So.
Oh God, yes. I mean, I remember, like, to me, that was like one of the first times I had ever
seen. Same actor from Stargate.
Oh, I didn't know that. But I remember seeing Crying Games and was just like, wait, this is a thing? Because I didn't understand. I didn't know. God, what did I know? I had my whole little myopic world. You were either gay or straight, and that was it.
People like Beth and I'm sure when Beth saw The Crying Game the first time, my eyes were popping out. Because I was just like, that's me, there I am, that's me.
It's like, I wish that was me in the aspect of how beautiful they were and just assured.
Well, sure. And of course, they grew up in London. But let me, I want to finish my original point, which is this movie came out at a time when there was literally nothing supportive about trans people. So I found it really brave and really ahead of its time in its portrayal of these very mature themes that, you would almost expect them to get a lot wrong. You would almost get like, okay, their heart was in the right place, but they messed up this, and this. But no, they did a great job in setting the tone and kind of putting an argument forward of like, should we criticize these people or should we help them? And I think it firmly came down on the side of let's help these people, which was a real refreshing thing back then because, back then is when the days when we had It's Pat on Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Or Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Crying Game satire.
Yeah.
The crying game moment on SNL with Pat. Where Pat was doing the nails and stuff.
I remember that. Oh my God, that's horrifying.
It was really funny. I mean,
it was funny as hell because back then, it was funny.
Yeah.
But no, that.
Well, it would be funny now just because of how ludicrous it is.
Oh yeah, no.
So I mean, it doesn't lose its funny because it's not really transphobic so much as it's just a ludicrous take on it. It's kind of like a cis woman singing a drag show.
Love me a drag show. Love me a drag show.
It's so outrageous that it loses any kind of criticism of trans people, and it only becomes really a criticism of the society that watches it.
Well, if you watch those It's Pat skits carefully, the joke is really about how Pat evades getting gendered. Mm-hmm. It's not really about which one is worse or better or bad or good. It's about how skillful Pat is in evading their attempts to like pin them down.
Unknowingly.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like without, it's like a Mr. Bean situation with gender.
Yeah, so I like Pat. I thought Pat was pretty funny. I never saw the movie and I have no interest in seeing it. But I wasn't pissed off at Pat. I was pissed off at like the filmmakers who really pissed me off back then. Brian De Palma, who came out with Dress to Kill that had a trans serial killer.
Yeah.
And also Silence of the Lambs, of course. But Buffalo Bill, the actor who plays Buffalo Bill, is actually a wonderful, wonderful guy. Yeah. And he has since apologized for his portrayal. He said he had, who had any idea back then that you weren't supposed to show cross-dressers as serial killers?
Well, Ace Ventura.
There it is. Yeah.
People don't realize that the whole guy, what's her name? Sean Young, right? That whole line with her, that's horrifying. Yeah. In making her the bad guy. And that was something we kind of had a hard time with, was we didn't want to do any movies where people in the LGBTQ plus community were seen as either the butt of the joke or the tragic, aspect of it. And
I just don't want
Ventura, it was both.
My biggest thing is I don't want to see a movie again about how sad trans women are for existing in a world, because there's plenty of those. There were so many of them. That was what I got from representation, was not necessarily the villains. It was the quiet, sad one who got to die horribly somehow. And it was always that thing. And that was what scared me most as a child. I was so afraid. Even so, one of the things that like really was my spark, like a spark bird, the bird that makes you want to be a bird watcher. Mm-hmm. The one that was the spark for my egg to even have a shell was the woman that was in the centerfold, the trans woman who was a centerfold in Playboy.
I remember that.
And I was so taken. I was like, I could be her. I could be me. I could be this person, because you see them in full regalia. You see everything. They're there, just barefaced and there. And I'm like, she's so beautiful. She gets to be her finally. And then I found out. I was so fucking pissed. I found out. But
no, I mean, I totally agree with you. I was Back then, I was in the 80s. I was, it was hard for me because I was telling my wife last night that, there's the little kids. I have a little story to tell you. When I was in third grade, we were all 8 years old. We all had a little classroom talent show, right? And only the brave ones got up there and did their talent show. I was a coward. I never did it. I never put myself out there. But there was one little kid named Robin. And what Robin's talent was, Robin put on a skirt and lip sync to Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious in front of the class. And at age 8 years old, we all looked at each other and we're like, that kid is gay as hell. That kid is fucking gay. And it was like one of those things. It wasn't a big deal. Nobody judged Robin. Nobody hated Robin. We were just kids. But we understood that Robin was gay from birth. They were born like that. They were who they were. And go Robin, But see, here's my point, is that I didn't have that clarity. I didn't have that clarity of like, ooh, okay, that's who I am now. Because I ended up playing football in high school. I liked girls. I dated girls. So I didn't know how to be trans, even though I had a strong pull toward it. And what happened was every time I tried to talk about it back then, it got really weird really quick. Like people didn't want to talk about it. I brought it up to a couple of my girlfriends and they changed the subject real quick. They didn't like it. And so I learned not to talk about it until 20, 25 years later. But the point I'm trying to make is that it was really hard for people growing up in that time when trans people were the butt of the joke or the sacrificial victim, or they were the red shirt who got killed right away, that kind of thing. And I didn't want to be that way. So I tried to suppress it for years and decades and fought with it. And it would have been nice to have a little clarity, like, oh, this is what I am at age 8, like Robin, I don't, I mean, I wonder where Robin is now. I'm probably making a lot of money somewhere.
Being fabulous.
Being fabulous. But it was so clear, even at 8 years old, Robin would go around in the playground and he would run up to everybody and he'd have a stick in his hand and he'd be like, I'm a fairy, and ding, you just got turned into something or other. And he would flit off, and everybody would be like, that kid is gay as hell. And we were 8, and it was like, go Robin. Robin had clarity,
So, it's really funny is like I keep in my head when we're talking about like, the representation of transgender people, and this is going to get me some huge hate, but I'm going to throw it out to the world anyway. Rocky Horror Picture Show, while using the wrong terminology, literally, if you go by the fact that it's, that they were using transsexual instead of transgender, he literally comes from a planet called Transsexual Transylvania. They're non-binary. And in Frankenfurter is killed for being, granted, for killing people too, but they kill him off completely. He doesn't get to go home. He doesn't get to go back to the world that he knows of where everybody is fluid. He's on this planet where there's this yes and there's this no. And again, there's a lot more depth into it. I don't think Richard O'Brien really intended all of that, but hey, why do I know? But I just always thought that was like, we always just assume it's a gay thing. It's not a gay thing. It's not even a drag queen thing. It is a non-binary thing. And it is misnamed because of the time period, but there's a lot more going on in that movie. And God bless Tim Curry, and I will cry immensely.
Sadly, Richard O'Brien has come out since against trans women in women's spaces.
I know, yeah.
And that is, but here's the thing: it doesn't matter what he does. Mm-hmm. It matters that it's out there. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, but he's also one of the voices on Phineas and Ferb, and I really love Phineas and Ferb, so fuck him.
But Rocky Horror Picture Show is out there.
Oh yeah,
it is in the world, and he doesn't own it. He owns the rights. He does not own what people get out of it, and that's the great thing about art: is no matter what you put out there, people will take what they're going to want to take from it. So what I take from Rocky Horror is going to be completely different from what he intends for it to be. And that is tough shit for him.
Yeah.
I hope he changes. I hope everybody changes over time when they learn new information.
They will.
And if they don't, then fuck them. I don't have time for them. Our lives are very short. I'm not going to spend it trying to convince every single person that trans people are valid people. I'm just trying to keep our rights enough to where other trans people behind us don't feel like we pulled a ladder up and abandoned these children who deserve to exist, who deserve to not be put into a mask that is their prison.
And I think a lot of the younger generations. No, I think a lot of the younger generations, they do blame our generation with that mentality of, we did pull the ladder up. No, we didn't. We never even got to touch the ladder. We're still hanging on to the sides.
Where's the ladder?
Where'd the fucking ladder go?
The ladder is with the lawn darts. They took it away from us and won't let us play with them.
The click-clackers. I mean, all the fun.
The lawn darts.
All the fun danger toys.
No, I agree with you guys in that, there's a saying in music, it's the song, not the singer.
Exactly.
In other words, all the singers are flawed. Everybody, every great hero rock star we've had is a flawed person, but the song is perfect. The song they're singing, and I think that's Richard O'Brien is imperfect, but the song he sang is wonderful. And yes, it did crack ton of people's eggs, probably including mine. I was at those midnight Rocky Horror showings back in 1983. Yes, I was. And so, yeah, I mean, it gave people, a place to go and celebrate gender diversity at a time when there was no gender diversity.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I was exposed to it. I was exposed to it at 14. My mom actually bought me the movie at 14.
Wow.
But it's funny because of everything going on politically. I'm amazed that that's the same person. the same person who bought me that movie is not the same person that she is today.
She's changed over time for the worse.
Well, remember, that was the era of Boy George. That was the era when MTV came out, when the guys wore more makeup than the girls,
Yeah. I think the reality of it is my mother would be labeled that nice little rhyming name that they give to women who like to follow in the drag circles and in the gay circles. I'm not going to say the name, but you know what I'm talking about, that nice little rhyming 2-3 letter word name. And I believe that that's what she would have been, because not in the supportive sense, but in the, you're entertaining and I think that you're funny way. And that's a sad thing. And I think that's, what she didn't realize is by exposing me to those things opened my eyes in a way where, there's a whole other world and I'm cool with that. And I didn't see it as the entertainment that I think she did. And that's, it's just the fact that what it is. But
I want to talk real quick before, I don't want to get too far into this, but I want to talk about that other aspect to this movie, this other part that was, to me, very stunning, is when Ludo locks the girl in the closet in order to take her place in the play. No Spider-Man in this one, I noticed that. But it became like it was such a stark act that it was just, I don't feel it was out of place in the film. I felt it was out of emotion.
I think Ludo knew.
In a way.
It was a very calculated move on Ludo's part, because Ludo was watching the boy that they liked being Prince Charming and saw an opportunity when the little girl needed to use the bathroom and said, oh shit, I can play that part. And then I get to, so it wasn't I'm going to do this to make everybody mad. It was just a reaction. It was an emotional, I'm going to take advantage of this. and I know it could come off as malicious, but I don't think there was any malicious intent. It was, I'm going to get the boy that I like to kiss me.
No, I don't.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it as a malicious thing.
Yeah,
What I'm getting out of it, the thing that made my stomach drop, is the vilification factor. It's very easy to vilify trans people or anyone who is different. And when Ludo does that one thing, and everybody is standing there when they come out, and they're having to form this very tight group to get out of there.
Yeah.
And you feel like someone might die in this film. This is crazy.
Yeah.
For me, it was about the aspect of it's not Ludo's action that I find just, alarming. It is the idea that you're so easily vilified, that you're so easily turned into the target of a mob. And it's that thing of what they want to do now with so many people is the institutionalization of trans people, of gay people, of disabled people, of anyone who doesn't fit the mold of exactly what they want. They point to all these aspects, and it's a dehumanizing thing. They point to every trans person who has ever committed a crime, who has ever done a thing that's bad. Trans people are humans. Therefore, they do human things, which are sometimes altruistic, sometimes very good, sometimes very bad, and sometimes downright evil. Because we're human beings, and to say that we must be perfect in order to exist is entirely dehumanizing, because no one can attain that.
You're right. So just yesterday, I was reading that one of our local counties, a county I formerly worked for, is being investigated by Department of whatever, because it's not even the Department of Education anymore, because of their transgender bathroom use. And I was going to go on and say, okay, but people who are going into these bathrooms to abuse people are not transgender individuals. Well, there were shopping lists of people actually I have to give them the credit. They were actually putting links to back their thoughts. Usually you get just words and no actual research. Don't know how legitimate these links were. I wasn't going to click on them. But they're like, well, these are all the cases of transgender people, or they are saying transgender people. But what it was men dressing up as women and going into women's bathrooms and abusing people. It was not transgender people.
Yeah.
And some were, though, and that's the whole point.
But they're so minuscule, the percentage.
Sure.
And the one case that pissed me off was they were using an example of a man, I'm not going to say man because I don't know, but this person who was in jail and wanted to be placed in a women's correctional facility because they were transgender, and they abused a woman. But that could have happened even if they were cisgendered. That could have happened. So it doesn't.
But that's the point. Is it doesn't matter even if it's the quantity, because if we're looking at quantity based or on the statistical level, who should not be allowed in society? It would be white cishet men.
Yep.
White cishet men commit most crimes. Of any category. So to say, well, there's a lot of trans women who do this. Well, yes, I'm sure there are some trans women that do this because trans women are humans and therefore they do human things. But if there was a large percentage of trans women, how does that invalidate trans women from existing in society when white cishet men can? And they are the largest percentage. The percentage doesn't matter on validity. It shouldn't anyway, because we allow it for the most privileged part of society to be that percentage, and we don't kick them out of society. So what are we doing here? What are we saying? That you have to earn the right as per what white cishet men agree to.
Yeah.
The social contract only matters if they preside over it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I remember to your point, when I was in therapy for being trans, and you know, full disclosure, I resisted the whole thing, the whole process with everything I had. I was terrified of it. I didn't want the trouble that came with it. I didn't want the difficulties and complications, financial, legal, whatever, relationship, family, friends. And I was literally doing my best to not transition. And I didn't know what to do about it. And I talked to my therapist about it. And I said, well, here's the thing, and like you said, Beth, there's so much transphobia out there. Even we have, internalized transphobia. We also are transphobic. I know I am. And I've had to learn about it to dispel my transphobia. And I brought up to my therapist, I was like, I don't want the trans people they're weird and they've got these weird attitudes. And she was like, none more than is representative in normal society. And she basically opened my eyes to the fact that I was prejudging a whole cast of people, a whole group of people, without thinking about the fact that, of course, there's mentally ill trans people. Of course, there's criminal trans people. Of course, there's people that have problems because the normal population has problems. It's only in proportion to the normal population. And once that fact was, my brain like registered it, all the floodgates opened for me. And so that was, yeah, I mean, to your point, yeah, I mean, we are flawed individuals. We do have problems, but they're the same problems in proportion to the larger population.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's like every marginalized group. That's what every majority gets to point at, the marginalized groups. Look how they're criminals. Look how they do this. Look how they're mentally ill.
That's right.
But everybody has that. And,
that's right.
And it's just a part of dehumanization and demonization of the people that are not in favor in society.
I remember back, not even that long ago, and the fun little thing to say was black on black crime. Black men kill black men more. No, it's still white men who kill everybody more than anybody. It's really everybody. So it's not even about color at this point. It's about this group kills everybody historically.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I remember that everything was like, it was black on black crime. It's always white on white crime, literally, and white on black crime, and white on brown crime, and white on everybody crime.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get statistical about it, the white population is much more violent and much more problematic than other populations.
Oh yeah, and they've destroyed more than people. They destroyed their cultures. They destroy their very pre-existing and it's the thing of generational trauma that they cause. Some people don't even know what their own culture is anymore because it's been eradicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying that has happened and that it's continuing to happen.
So I've mentioned this many, many times, and I'll mention it until they are like super, super popular. But there is a black-owned company called God Ain't Petty, But I Am, and they make T-shirts. And there's a T-shirt that I want that says "I'm white, but I'm not that white," and I love it. And sometimes I see shit that's going on around me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm white, but I'm not that white.
Well, I tell you, in my old age, I've had the privilege to travel a little bit, which I've never really done before. And if you go to England and you go to the Tower of London, for instance, basically the entire basement of the Tower of London has been turned into a museum, and the entire museum is about the 1001 ways which those medieval people got creative to kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got really fucking creative in terms of how to kill each other. I mean, in terms of like murderous animals on the planet, the white people are the most murderous animals there are.
Mm-hmm.
And look no further than the Tower of London. There are 1001 ways to excruciatingly kill people.
They're horrifying.
So, we've been doing it a long time.
Oh, we're good at it.
You have to look no further than a Renaissance to see that there's an equal and opposite reaction to Enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, murder is in equal proportion, murder and torture are in equal proportion to poetry and understanding.
We're going to learn about the body, but we're also going to learn how to fuck it up.
Greater than,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
many
pretty
instances.
grim. Have you guys ever seen the movie called Kill All the Brutes?
No.
Oh, it's so good. It's basically, it's really good because what Kill All the Brutes is from is, I think it's a phrase from Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. And of course, that's the book where the guy goes on the boat up the river in Congo and goes further and further, and he goes after Kurtz,
Right.
the evil white guy who's gone insane. But the whole book, if you realize it, I mean, if you read it deeply, it's basically like we've really treated these black folks really, really shitty, haven't we? And it's meant to wake people of that age up to like the horrible treatment. And Kill All the Brutes is in there. I think Kurtz actually says that. But the documentary looks at that idea from, in Australia with the Aboriginal folks and in Africa with all the various people in Africa. And it goes through all of the different ways in which white people basically have exterminated as much as they can the brutes of society. So it's really fascinating stuff. If you guys are ever looking for a documentary to really piss you off and bring you down.
And it's funny because once again that goes back to the black on black crime, because white people love to say, well, there were black people in Africa who were taking, getting their own people into slavery. Well, because it was a money market. And capitalism is always going to be king, regardless. So they didn't give a shit about the people being the same color as them. They were seeing it as trafficking humans because money.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with their color. So that's really the thing that kind of, we as white people saw it as color. But I don't think the other Africans were seeing it that way. I think that was the people the Africans who were selling their people. I think it was, again, capitalism, but we saw it as lesser because we did not see them as human beings. Yeah, I can go on a historical rant on color and racism for hours.
It's a fascinating topic,
It really is.
You can delve deep down into it.
Yes.
But you're right. I mean, the new book I'm working on is a fantasy set in sort of an alternative Islamic golden age, back with like in that era when they studied astrology and did a lot of crazy cool stuff. But there was slavery back then too, and there was the hero of the book is a eunuch from Africa who was brought into slavery, eunuchized. I'm not. Obviously, that's not a real term, but he was made a eunuch and brought into slavery. And so I've studied all of that stuff historically. There was a very vibrant slave trade that didn't go west to the U.S.
Nope.
It went east to like Saudi Arabia and other parts like Egypt and, like Turkey. And so that was a big slave trade too. But you're exactly right. It's humans exploiting humans.
Yeah.
Even more than it is a black on white or white on black thing.
Yeah, and it's not to say that, because I kind of hate when people are like, well, I'm colorblind. No, you should see color because color is important. It's who we are.
That is right.
I hate that so much because I know I'm guilty of it. Once upon a time, that was one of my, I'm colorblind. I don't care what color. No, I don't really care what color you are, but I'm going to appreciate what you have because that's a culture that I do not have. And I appreciate that. Yeah. Again, history is one of my favorites, and I could go on for hours.
It's really dismissive, too, to the colorblind community who
really
actually is colorblind.
It really
and
is.
they have to go, no, I'm not racist. I'm saying I
really am colorblind.
Colorblind.
It's kind of ableist.
Yes,
Yeah,
it really is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But I know we've gone off the rails on this, but
I don't think so.
But
I
no,
think
we keep
this
coming back.
movie brings it out.
It really does.
And I have to say, for a movie that I was like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to understand what's happening because I'm having to read this. And there's a separation. But it drew me in more than it separated me. And I almost am glad I don't know French, despite the fact that I would love to know other languages. I'm almost glad because it made me focus so much on what is being said and then the actions that are happening that I wasn't able to misconstrue it. I wasn't able to look away and ignore the harder parts. Like when Ludo is standing there and everyone's laughing because of the skirt and the freezer scene. These are all very hard points to the movie. They're hard emotionally for people who have endured it. They're hard for people that don't understand it. And I think that for sometimes you need to have that separation, and sometimes it's good not to know what's going on so that you're able to focus more plainly on the things that are right before you. And Ma Vie en Rose, My Life in Pink, is one of those examples. I think it's a well-done film. It's dated, but that's necessary as well. You have to know where you came from to know where you're going.
I feel like you only really, you notice the datedness of it only in the sense of that black and white, but also the lack of computers. Because I noticed that. I mean, I was expecting, I don't know, because nothing feels out of date except there on the desks, there was no laptop. You know, like there wasn't smartphones. She was actually, the sister was on the phone with like an actual corded phone, like a teenager do, you know? And that kind of got me a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, you don't really, I don't feel like it pulls you too much out of time. Like some movies when we watch, you're just like, it's a little hard. But when I've said this before, that when we watch movies for the podcast, I have to play a game on my phone. I can't just watch the movie. But this I had to watch, and I appreciate that because reading made me stay focused. Like,
well, you're never going to forget it now.
No.
It's there now.
It's there.
It's in your head. So it's part of...
Well, I'm glad you guys liked it. I thought it was ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the production design. Remember all the bright colors
Oh, yes.
and the greens and the reds would just pop, and the cool like hip French indie music in the background.
Yes. Grandma was just, I love her so much. When she starts dancing and I'm like, that's the grandma I am. If I was a grandma. And she's like, don't call me Granny. Call me Elizabeth. Love that.
No, she was great. But like you said earlier, she also had her own agenda. And she also was not really trying to work on Ludo's terms. She had her own terms that she was trying to gently guide Ludo back to being a boy rather than insisting he be a boy. But the end result is the same.
And I want to clarify too, when I said there's no supportive people in this film for Ludo, I mean that in that way that they're placating, but they're not really trying to understand. Right. And I think that is something that the abruptness of the understanding at the end was still kind of like lacking. But I think that's just cis people don't know until they do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same for everyone. Trans people don't, I mean, just because you're trans doesn't mean you understand gay people. If you're not gay yourself, it is very hard to conceptualize what that means for a person. So I think in that way, I'm okay with them not entirely being supportive and not understanding, as long as they're giving room for that understanding to happen in the future.
Well, I don't understand people. Just
sometimes
as a whole.
People don't understand as Prince of Bel-Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. His parents just don't understand. Okay. So let us do our thing here. We're going to do our stitch count. We're going to look at this movie. We're going to take it. We're going to scrub it up. We're going to wring it out. We're going to see what falls off and see if it needs to be put back on, or maybe, I don't know, thrown in the trash or given to the animals.
Gets longer every time.
I know. I never know what to say. So here we go. We're going to do the Castellini, the inclusivity and gaze, and followed with our favorite, the Tremors Index.
And Polly, you will be having a voice in this, so join in.
Join in.
So the cast... Sorry?
No, I just said okay.
Okay. The Castellini test is about feminism in film. So there have to be at least 2 named women characters with at least 5 lines of dialogue each.
Oh yeah, grandma and the mom. Mom's name is Hannah, and the grandmother's name is Elizabeth.
And given the
there's other women,
film, it
but I
would be
can't remember their
Ludo
names.
as well.
It
So
would be Ludo as well. Yes.
those characters must have a conversation not necessarily with the other woman, either not about their partner or with their partner, future or current, and not about their relationship.
Well, nobody. They don't really talk about, like, if you go by romantic relationship, nobody talks about romantic relationship. The husbands and wives have those conversations, but they're like minimal in the very beginning.
Mostly it's about Ludo.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about Ludo. So at least one of the women has to be integral to the plot, meaning that if she were written out of the film, it could not reach the same ending.
I think if Hannah wasn't there, obviously it would be different, because I think Dad would have lost his shit a lot sooner. She kind of kept him at bay for a long time. Grandma, which if Elizabeth wasn't there, Ludo would have had very, very little support whatsoever. So I don't think it could have come to the same end. And obviously nobody would have found poor Ludo in the freezer.
Yeah, I think the mom was the other central character, because she, like I was talking about the protagonist, the one who changes.
Mm-hmm.
The mom changes. It was all about her, because once she changes, she can say, "We're doing this," to her family.
Yes.
So that was kind of the end of the matter. But yeah, so I think we focus closely on the mom as she comes to terms with Ludo's expressed wishes, and I think obviously it ends happily. So if she were taken out, yeah, I think the whole movie would fall apart.
Yeah, I think within the dynamics of the very strict gender roles that they have established in their society, that without the mom who controls the home life, it would have been much harder for Ludo to reach the ending that they got.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
All right, so let's go with inclusivity and gaze. And that is a score of either 0 or 1. It's an on or off situation. We have a maximum of 4 points possible.
Very binary.
Very binary in this case. Racial diversity with agency, not just background.
No. I don't think I saw a single person of color in this whole film.
I did not either.
Yeah,
but there was a ginger person.
I think it was Belgian. So I think, I'm not sure of the black population in Belgium, but I have to say it's probably not incredible.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So, nope, it's not going to get a point for that one.
All right, LGBTQ presence that isn't a punchline or tragedy.
He's not, the movie isn't making Ludo the punchline or the tragedy. The people around Ludo is making Ludo the punchline or the tragedy. If that makes sense. The characters.
I don't think even they are. I think they definitely have their agendas. But even the kids who beat Ludo up aren't seeing it as a punchline or tragedy. But if the film overall is not playing it for punchline or tragedy, neither I think are happening.
Yeah. So I'll give it the point.
Do you?
Yeah, no, I think it ends happily. He surpasses in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Ludo wins, so to speak. So I think it's a +1 there.
Yeah, because any punchline or tragedy that may happen within the film is part of a hero's journey.
Yes.
That's just part of it.
Sure.
Age, body type, or disability treated with dignity.
I have to say, yeah, no.
I'm going to say no myself, mainly because of the way that children are treated. Anyone younger is treated as they're just dismissed. That's what they're done. They don't have a say.
Little Christine at the end has a say.
That is true.
That's true.
We have to be careful about, the movie, those actors, of course, were very pro-trans, or they wouldn't even agree to be in the movie.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful about the artifice of the plot, which was, they're telling a story where the bad guy, i.e., the parents, changes and opens their eyes and sees at the end. So I think all's well that ends well. So I would have to say that,
See, I was
Okay, I'm going to kind of correct that because it brought up a memory in the movie where the sister, the sister of the family, I can't remember her
Zoe.
name. Thank you. She actually went off on her father. So she actually had a quick sentence in which she went off on him, checking him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think
And,
you're
like,
right.
Albert's
I think
a
I
big
was
man.
just seeing it as, well, the children are, and as society is in general treats children as the objects they own and rarely as people. So, but yeah, I think you're right.
But like also, because it does mention, body type. Nobody says anything. Albert's a big man. Nobody mentions anything about
Albert
that.
got a kiss from someone who's not his wife.
Exactly. I mean, and Elizabeth is an older woman, and other than, making grandma's getting her wild on, no one is actually like making fun of her. They're like, go grandma, So I want to give it the point.
Okay. You agree?
I agree.
Okay, good. So we'll just go with that. Camera gaze, not relentlessly sexualized or punitive.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, there's nothing sexualized, even with Hannah running around with her zipper undone. And yeah, there's like that one tiny scene in the beginning where that the couple are going to hook up. It's fade to black, move on to the next family that's getting ready for the party. But there's nothing sexualized or,
There's nothing that's Porky-esque in this film.
No, not in the least.
Porky's, oh my God.
No one's going to know what I just brought up except, people of a certain age.
Our generation.
So do you agree it's not punitive or sexualized?
No, I do agree. And I have to say, I know we're running long here and I'll make it quick, but I found the camera work to be really great. Like, you have to remember there was a split, around the year 2000 when everything went digital-ish, 2000-ish. There was a break in filmmaking because shooting with film is really, really hard and really expensive versus shooting video on digital, which is what everybody does now. Because it's so easy. It's not free, but it's practically free. You can shoot all day.
Right.
And it's fine. But back then, when you made a film, you had to be really careful about what you did and your setups and how you did it. And so the director had to get everything exactly right beforehand to make sure that every moment is precisely worked out. And I was really impressed as a filmmaker on the level of how adept the director's camera moves were and everything. He really did a great job. And some of those, like, the way he would frame people in profile sometimes. It's really interesting, the way he did things.
Oh yeah, no, you would get those views of someone's profile, and that actually let you know the tone.
Yeah,
sure.
Of that scene, and I think I don't know if they do. They probably do, but I think that all film students should have to learn on real media on film.
I think so too. I think it's a great way to do it.
I mean, it builds not just the idea that you have to be prepared and you have to think about what you're doing, but it instills in you a sense of ownership in that stake.
No, that's right. That's right. I mean, filmmaking before 2000 was different because, you had like the Stanley Kubrick generation where, you really had to know what you wanted rather than just hitting the red button on the camera and just capturing a lot of crap. And you'll say, I'll figure it out in the edit. You had to be super specific about what you were going after because you didn't have we'll figure it out in the edit back then because you only had 10,000 feet of film or however much it was. That's actually nothing, more like 50,000 feet. But you had to know exactly what you wanted rather than just going, hey, we'll shoot a lot and hope it works out,
Yeah.
Not saying that they do that. I mean, like the Russo brothers know what they want.
Yeah.
They're filmmakers who know what they want. But they, the preparation is different. And the fact that the Russo brothers can shoot as many takes as they want. And it's like, in film, you kind of couldn't do that.
Right.
You had to nail it in the first 3 and move on,
Yeah, the digital is more like we can throw spaghetti against the wall and hope to find something that sticks.
I think that's why bloopers meant so much in the day, because that was expense. That was a real issue, and those bloopers meant more because they did happen at the expense of the filmmaker and the people that funded it and everything else.
That's right.
I mean, you're blowing. I mean, Kevin Smith. I bring up Kevin Smith in this, but even he talked about how he had to blow his budget. He was using up credit cards just to buy film. So that's a big aspect. It's not
and
renewable.
Every time, you can hear the camera. It's quiet, but you can hear it, and that sound is money. That sound, every time you hear that sound, that's.
Yeah, it's raining and you're not getting it.
My favorite bloopers are the ones that they used to show after the Cannonball Run movies.
Yeah.
Those were always the best
fantastic.
because I'm sorry, Adam DeLuise is a god. He's a comedy god.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to that was inclusivity. Let's go with the Tremors Index. This is basing it on what we feel is the perfect movie, which is Tremors. And how does this movie rate? What's that?
I love Tremors.
It is the most well-rounded, surprisingly, like it became a joke, but it really, in reality, it has a very well-rounded, just everything. It's got diversity. It has feminism. It does not have a sexualized gaze. Yes, she loses her pants, but they immediately fix up her scratches and put pants on her. And it's not, her dressing in her underwear for the sake of the camera. No, it was a moment. It was a necessity.
Nobody ripped off her shirt so that she shows her midriff for a very posed shot.
Nope.
I'm not calling out Star Wars. So the Tremors Index.
Carrie Fisher in her braless wonder there. I mean, she hated it.
Okay, let's not talk on Carrie now. So
no, but she hated
it. Goes from 0 to 4. 0 is below Tremors, fails the basics. 4 exceeds Tremors, rare, powerful, and intentional. And it can go anywhere in between those.
I want to say, I think we should be sending this to our guests.
I did send it out, but I forgot to send it to Polly.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Because I was saying, Pat was really...
I sent it out to Pat, and I thought I'd send it out to Polly, because we sent them at roughly the same time. And I'd asked you to send the thing out, and I forgot to follow it up. That is my fault.
Oh, and then she had the audacity to ask me if I had sent out the request just yesterday, and I'm like, I sent that out the day you told me about it. So,
Okay.
So, for me, I want to say that this is a 1, which would be Tremors, approaches Tremors, partial competence, because some inclusive instincts, but uneven follow through. So we're trying, with the story of Ludo, but it's not 100% the way it could be. Characters show skill, but authority still defaults to the usual suspects, the parents, the neighbors. Progress, but with friction. What do you think?
I agree with that. So the levels, just so you know, is 0 below Tremors, is characters are sidelined, disposable, or punished for competence. Women, marginalized characters, or outsiders exist to motivate others. Power dynamics feel mean-spirited or regressive. That's the bottom line. That's the
way below.
Yeah, fails the basics. So what you're talking about is more 2, which is or 1, which is approaches Tremors, which is partial competence. Above that would be Tremors adjacent, which is diverse characters are allowed to be good at things. Survival and problem solving matter more than ego, and no one is diminished to make someone else look cool.
And that's not the case in this movie. I don't think.
I come down on the side. I'm a little more kind to the movie. I think I found. I mean, obviously, I haven't heard these criteria before this, but if it's on a scale of 1 to 4, and 4 is Tremors level, I'd give it a 3 or maybe a 2.5.
Well, it's 0 to 4, and 4 was actually above Tremors. So Tremors would be a 3.
Okay.
Yeah, Tremors is like, it makes a 3, and we give grace that other movies can be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say it's approaching. I'd say 2.5.
Okay.
Okay.
I am going to say that it's going to be 1 as well, mainly because on 2, the no one is diminished to make someone else look cool is obviously not the case.
They do diminish poor Ludo a lot.
Well, and other people are as well, but survival and problem solving matter more than ego, which is also not true. And again, these are emotionally based ratings. So these are not like rating the film itself. It's rating the things that happen in the film. So,
yeah. So like for that one, like you said, for the survival one, yes, everybody is trying to appease everybody else, but no one is looking at poor Ludo and going, but what does Ludo need? So their ego to make things.
Yeah, the
copacetic.
assumption is in the end that will happen eventually. You know, that Ludo's rights will matter in that moment, but not right now. Right now it's about how the parents feel about it and whether or not they support it at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to go with the 1 on this.
Okay, so keep in mind, I think we've only had one movie that had a 0, and that was Wild Wild West.
Yeah, that was pretty freaking horrible. I mean,
bad.
I guess it would have made better film for a giant mechanical spider if it fought Superman, who is Nicolas Cage. That's just me.
So I'm going to give it, so with all of our ratings, our score is, for the stitch count, 5 out of 9.
Which is nice
really not
and
bad.
respectful. That is right in that's in the norm.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the norm of our stitch counts.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We have, very rarely do we ever have anything that either meets or exceeds Tremors level. We've had a few good ones lately. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, 9 out of 9. We were very happy with that
But
one.
usually what gets them is what got this one, which is the inclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of times it misses some of those marks. And it's that racial diversity gets them a lot of times because we have a very white-centric filming community. I mean, the films are generally just very white or very one tone, if anything else.
And while we have movies that we would love to discuss that are movies of color, we just don't feel we are qualified to discuss them.
Well, I think we're qualified to discuss them. I just don't think that it makes any sense to just have white people talking about black films. I have black folk on, and we're happy to give a platform to anyone who is black, who loves movies, who wants to talk about the films that represent them. I just don't see us doing a great job of being advocates in the right way. I think that I have my own ideas, but I will never know what it's like to be black.
No, and I'll constantly lean towards the historical angle. And again, that does not necessarily mean that my version of it is correct. I would love to do the original Color Purple. I am ready to bawl my eyes out, people, whoever wants to do that with us.
I want LeVar Burton on, but he'll never answer my
LeVar
emails.
Burton would be amazing.
He just
Have you
doesn't
guys
answer
ever
emails.
seen Paris is Burning? 1990s Paris is Burning.
I don't think I have.
Oh, you guys have to see Paris is Burning. It's a documentary about the Harlem drag scene of the late 80s.
No, I do know it. Yes. I've not seen it, but I know of it now. And once you said it, I was like, yep, no, I do know that one because weirdly enough, I know it from RuPaul because RuPaul mentions it often.
Yeah. It was a seminal early trans film. And I saw it back in the day. I'm old. But I was going to suggest it if we didn't do this one.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can always do it again. So when you come back again, we can definitely do that.
Okay. But it is people of color.
That's
It's not only black, it's people, it's Puerto Ricans, it's all kind of colors. And there are white people in there too, but not that many.
Oh, yeah. And again, we don't have a problem with doing movies like that. For us, it's about being the representation.
If the film is about their journey and not any aspects that we can actually like talk about with authority, we don't want to be that authoritative voice saying this is what it's about. I'd rather have someone on who can, tell us what it is that they want us to know and tell our listeners, this is how it is for us, and not some white person just regurgitating something they read on the internet.
No, I get it. I get it. I think that's very wise.
It's just knowing my limitations is I have a certain amount of understanding, and that's where it ends, because I don't expect cis people to have full understanding of trans people. They don't live that. And I don't understand cis people. I don't live that.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where we have to, our differences are wide. They can be an ocean, but we have boats. So we can travel and understand, but it doesn't mean we have that ocean, that we understand what it is to be in those depths of the ocean. So I think that's important just to know that.
And really quick for our listeners, so they don't think that I'm a complete piece of utter shit. My intro with the boy, girl, boy thing, that was because Ludo calls themselves a boy, girl for a big part of the movie. So I realized I never once clarified why I said that, and I don't want people to think I'm just an asshole that just said, well, you're boy girls and girl boys out there. No, there was a reason behind it.
I got it.
Oh, you saw the movie.
Too. I got
but
it too.
But y'all saw the movie.
Sure. But right now, there's a whole lot of people just standing down on their emails. They're like,
I know.
I guess I'm going to delete this email.
Woo-hoo.
Actually, I'm just going to
clarified.
I'm just going to put it in drafts. I may feel differently later.
Because there's a good chance Michelle's going to say something stupid later on.
Beth is bound to say something stupid, so let's just hold off on this. All right, so thank you for joining us for Ma Vie and Rose, My Life in Pink. I know I said that wrong, 1997. This has been Cozy Quilt Cinema. This has been Cozy Quilt Cinema with Beth and Michelle. A special thank you to our guest, Polly Schattel, for bringing this film into the fort and discussing it with us. We are so glad you chose it, and we're so lucky and privileged to have you here with us talking about it. We love you so much.
I love you guys too. Thank you for having me. I think what you guys do is amazing. Thank you for your work and your advocacy. And if you don't follow Beth on Blue Sky, she is a warrior. So look her up, follow her, because she's just pure entertainment, just reading her feed.
I think Polly is a little bit more entertaining than me. I think I'm just more bitching to the void.
Hey, man, you're getting some results.
I guess. But, the beautiful thing about stories that really stay with us is that they follow us everywhere and into the parts of ourselves we've been told to tuck away. The ones we keep returning to anyway because they never were wrong. Just inconvenient for everyone else. So no matter where in the world you're listening from, and with the right film selection and a little honest look at the courage it takes to simply be, in a world that keeps offering you beige, you might just find yourself picking the color that is you. Keep the stories going and the feelings flowing at cozyquiltcinema.com, where you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky, or send your feedback and personal reflections, even leave a voicemail. You can always find our episodes there and wherever you listen to podcasts. Please consider subscribing and leave a rating. We would very much appreciate that.
And don't forget to subscribe to our other podcast, Between Myth and Belief, where we talk about all things odd, spooky, weird, paranormal, and crazy.
That gets longer too.
I know, because I don't know how to really describe it. We just talk about a bunch of weird, random stuff, but it's always paranormal, supernatural stuff.
So, Polly, we know you have a book out. We have Crater Girl, which has been out since the 25th of June. What else is going on with you? Is there anything that the listeners need to know that you'd like for them to know?
No, just, buy my books, check them out. I call myself a dark fantasy writer, which means I kind of skew toward horror a little bit, but I don't write horror. So if you like weird, crazy, paranormal, spooky stuff, that's me. So check me out.
We're going to put the link in the show notes for Polly's website, and you can find all of her books there. And a lot about Polly, she's just so great. If you don't fall in love with her, you're doing something wrong in your life. That's all there is to it.
Sweet.
We love you so much. Thank you for being here. And we're going to get off of this because it's 2 hours. But if you want to keep talking, we'll keep talking to you because we'll just do it. That's what we do.
So until next time, my friends, I have no quotes. Normally I have a thing, but I don't have one today. So be good.
Bienvenue?
I don't
know.
Welcome and bienvenue. No.